Welcome, welcome, welcome to Facebook. Okay, so we're on Zoom and we're on Facebook,
Okay.
and I'm loving it. You guys, thebomb.com. Okay, so we've got a series of questions, but the first thing I want you to do is to introduce yourself and tell them what your area of specialty is, and then why is love important to you? I'll say it again. Your name, your specialty area, and why is love important to you? Okay, so we'll start with Diane.
Hi there, Diane Brandon Moody. I'm in the Fort Worth area. Love is important because who wants to live without love? I certainly don't. Everybody loves love. So I really just want to help people who are having trouble making it together to have an easier time of it. My specialty these days is I teach people appless dating because everybody hates dating apps. Nobody likes them. And most people are having a hard time making them work, but they have lost the skill of how to do it in person, face to face. And
Okay.
that's what I'm doing is I teach them first of all, I have a 50 places to meet people over 50 on my website, but I also just teach them that's the where I teach them how. How can a man approach a woman without feeling like, she's shooting him down? How can a woman make sure a man knows it's okay to approach her and all that? So, thank you so much for including me. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, we love you, love you, love you. April, you're next.
Hello, everyone. My name is April Coffey, and I'm known across all the social medias as April the Loveologist. I'm the president and CEO at Authentic Love, where interracial relationships are our number one priority. Why is love important to me? Well, first of all, these interracial, intercultural relationships are fastly becoming the norm, and so many people don't realize that. And to me, this is a symbol of unity, the one thing that we must have around the world that we seem to not have. That's why I'm interested in love because it makes all the other stuff fall in line.
Wow,
Okay.
love it. Okay, so our next person is vivacious Camille, aka Gail Rucker. So, Gail, you have to tell them your wonderful name because you have a wonderful, descriptive pen name.
My author name is Camille St. Charles, Mississippi. I was named after a hurricane, so I absorbed it. I was born in the state of Mississippi, and my father lives on a street called St. Charles. So
Oh, wow.
I just put all of those together and I just made my author name, but my name is Gail. I am a romantic and erotic architect. I
Okay.
am, I I write racing novels. So if by chance you offend easily, I am not the artist for you in the romantic arena. But I have stepped into writing romance. I am nestled inside of a irresistible Detroit. And the reason that love is so fascinating to me, I'm a love junkie. Any in all the roads, as far as I am concerned, I need them to meet up in the love arena. So I actively seek out love. I discuss it, and some of my family and friends believe that I know what I'm doing, but there are days I am just a spectator standing on the sidelines of life, just taking note. But I am a love junkie. So I'm always looking for a fix. So
Oh, that is huge. That is huge. Miss Tanya Todd.
Meow, everyone. Thank you for having me,
Mm.
Sharon.
So I have to say, April, I am the product of an interracial relationship.
My daughter is
And,
also.
and Gail, I would say if more people read romance and erotica, the world would be a better place.
Definitely.
I am the author of 52 Love, which is a book that helps to improve intimacy in relationships. It gives one intimacy tip per week for an entire year. And the reason that love is important to me is best summed up by the way one of my characters said it. I have a character who's an author, and she was getting down on herself because she only writes romance and she wanted to write something really important. And her love interest said to her, "What's more important than love?"
Nothing.
Nothing.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. And last but not least, Mr. Nation Guyton.
Hello. This is interesting for me completely because what I do, I am a mindset, life, and business coach. I'm a strategist. So why is love important to me? I like acronyms. I like life operates victoriously every time. So if you put love together, life operates victoriously every time. So why it's important to me? It's because it's important to God. Why is it important to God? Because without love, we don't exist. So
Oh, I love that. I love
Amen to
that.
that.
Snaps
Nice.
in a
Nice.
circle.
Nice.
That is so good. Well, panel, I am going to ask a series of questions. So when I say a series of questions, I want you to know I'm expecting everybody to participate. Okay, I went back to the classroom. I became a teacher. I put my hands on my hips and I said, participation is important.
Okay.
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 Yes, ma'am.
I can't help myself. Okay. The first category is dating mindset and self discovery. How do I rebuild my confidence after a long hiatus from dating?
I'll take that one because it's about mindset and that's my specialty. Confidence after, let's say dating is the event. I'm going to say rebuild your confidence is by understanding the lessons that you learned through that process. What was the things that you enjoyed? What was the thing that you didn't enjoy? So there's desirable and undesirable. What was the desirable outcomes that you were expecting that you got? And what was the undesirable outcomes that you didn't get? So then you go back and you say, here's how I'm going to show up authentically so that I can get more desirable results. Because confidence is really about standing on your own belief about who you are. It's an internal thing. You can fake confidence because all you gotta do is believe that you are that and you can do it. So confidence is internalized. So if you can believe that you're confident and you can step back out in the dating scene with that based off of your desired results that you're seeking.
Hmm, great answer.
Yeah, I like that. And I'll piggyback off of that,
Yeah.
you go back and you look at the data. Look
Yeah.
at the data from what you have experienced. What did you learn? And then where do you want to go from there? Write down what your goals are and figure out what is most important to you. And once you recognize what it is that you want, what you truly want, then you can start working toward that. And don't base your value for yourself based on how other people respond to you. You know your self-worth, and what is meant for you will come to you, and you will go into it with that confidence.
I'd like to add something here as well. In my area with interracial and intercultural dating, what I do is share with ladies what characteristics they have that attract a man from a different culture. Because typically the ladies have ideas of different things about them and they have negative ideas about them. So I have to share with them those things and other things that they have going on that will make them very attractive to men outside their culture, especially if they just simply open up because they've got the goods.
Mm,
I
Like
would
that.
say that in confidence, you build confidence by doing. and taking small steps. If you are very nervous about going on a first date, that isn't the time to decide whether or not you're going to marry him. The decision is whether or not you want a second date. You do it in small steps and you get support. And I know that's convenient because I'm a dating coach, but you do need support because you need somebody who's cheering you on when you do great things and who's whispering in your ear the things that maybe you didn't do that quite the way I would have done it, or we can do that just a little bit better. So that would be my answer to confidence is do it a little bit at a time, eat that elephant one bite at a time, as they say.
Mm,
Mm.
very good. Very, very good. Okay. I have another question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
Oh, you
think it's
want
Miss Gale.
Go
Do
ahead,
we
to,
need
Go
Miss
ahead, Miss
Gale?
Charles, St. Charles.
come on, St. Charles.
Well, a lot of you all don't know this, but I am a recent widow. And
Oh,
stepping back into the dating and the love arena has been somewhat disheartening and challenging for me because I was married almost 40 years and things are not the way that they used to be back in the day. So when I
Mm-mm.
happen to stumble across or meet someone intentionally or unintentionally, I already got the bullet points in my mind of the things that I'd like to address and see. And I appreciate when people come to me, but there are just some things that I just don't enjoy. And I don't wish to play the games. And one of my cousins tried to hook me up with somebody. And I told this gentleman, we had a beautiful meal, but he was wanting someone to take care of him.
hmm.
And it seems as if he's believing that, since you were in a long-term relationship, that's what I need from you. I need someone to step in and take care of me. And I said, I'm so sorry, sir. You've got me mistaken. I have no desire to stand in line to take care of you. I'm ready to live. So if you are not about living, if you're about just sitting on the couch watching television and, all the other stuff, I'm not that chick. I said, I'm gone. I have an assortment of things that I desire to do. And life is out there waiting for me, or someone like me, or someone who likes me is out there waiting for me. So therefore, we don't have to play these games. I have my own car. I will just talk to you later. Thank you so much. Because I was already prepared to, pay for my own meal and all other stuff. He was like, oh no, let me walk you to the car and all this other stuff. But it was different. And I came home and I sat in my living room in the dark saying, I was having a conversation with God. I was like, God, I don't know. Maybe I've aged out. I still believe in love, but the games, it's not saying that they weren't there when I was dating, but I hadn't had to play them in so many years. So now I've got to get my mind right. And my mind is rebelling against the chaos. So
Can I respond to that, Sharon?
Mr. Nation.
Yes. And I want to respond to it this way from a mindset piece, because the one thing that you said, which I think most men would actually appreciate, is that you were very authentic and you knew what you wanted coming in. So you don't have to play any games, because dating, I look at dating just like I look at a business transaction. Okay. You have to look at the pros and cons. You have to line up to see, is this merger going to work? So the first date is not about the merger. The first date is about the options available to see if a merger is actually viable. Then the second date, then the third date. By the time you get to the 20th date, now you can see if I want to merge. But go in with that mindset that it's not I don't play any games. I'm authentically, you be yourself. Men appreciate authenticity. The fact that you're like, thank you, but no thank you, I applaud you on that. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, Gail, I think you're in the right place because we have.
I know. I'm looking at the panel and all of the expertise that they might bring to the table. I don't know if I've given too much thought about dating additional or other races. They never, I guess I never fascinated them enough until I got older. And the older I become, the more fascinating. And I was like, some gentleman other than a Black man said something to me, and he was serious. And I was like, bless your heart, sweetie. You wouldn't know what to do with me because I'm a piece of work. And I said, you don't have to wrangle me. You know, if you don't have any cowboy skills, I recommend that you get them. Oh, that was just one little encounter because we had drinks the other day, my friends and I, and they were trying to set me up on a dating website. And I was like, no, I'm not that chick. Listen, I am from the old school. I like to meet people authentically. You know, the website is cool, but maybe I have to change my mindset and I might have to pivot and, you know, take advantage of all of the new technology that's afforded all of us. So maybe in time, maybe, you never know. I might stumble across that cowboy. You never know.
Oh my goodness. Well, all you have to do, Gail, is come to Texas. The
We can
rodeo.
show her around, can't we, Sharon? I'm in Fort Worth,
For
man. They
real.
don't get more cowboy than that.
I
Yeah.
tell you, yeah. Take her to the rodeo. She'll be fine.
I'd like to go to the rodeo. I don't want to be in it.
Oh, my
So,
next question is this. How do I know if I'm truly ready to start dating again?
I'll start. Because this is in my wheelhouse from this perspective. It's a life question. The way you know that you're really truly ready to start dating again is, are you comfortable with who you are as you are? And if you're not comfortable with who you are as you are, you're not ready, because all you're going to do is bring excess baggage to that conversation. Because the first 20 days is just conversation. It doesn't get serious past. You got to get past 20 to get to the real part of actually figuring out if a merger is actually going to happen. But the first 20 is conversation. If you're not comfortable with who you are, where you are, then I would say save yourself some grief, save yourself some heartache, and get comfortable with yourself before you step out there.
I would
Okay.
say also that if you have been married for a long time, if you can take your wedding rings off and leave them off, you're going in a good direction. I had a client that had started dating a guy, and it was interesting. It was quite interesting. We went to have lunch one day, and God highlighted to me that she still had her wedding rings on, but she'd been dating this guy for months. And when I said something about the wedding ring, she just started boohooing right there on the table. And about 2 days later, the gentleman she was dating said there are certain things that he wouldn't do with her because he realized that she's still in the grieving and she's still wearing her rings.
Mhm.
Oh, that's rich. That
I would
is.
say if you've been in a deep relationship, if you are widowed or divorced or something of that, if your relationship has changed considerably, many people want to hurry up and get into dating because they'll take their mind off the pain that they're in. And I frankly think that that is not doing you a service, not the memory of whatever you left behind a service, and the future people not a service. And I can tell a quick story that I long time ago, a guy I had been dating for 7 months asked me if I would consider making this permanent. Not exactly a proposal, but kind of on the edge. I said I would absolutely talk about it. And the next week, he disappeared off the planet. He never broke up with me. He was gone, gone, totally gone. I had no idea what happened, what was up with him, blah, blah, blah. So that really hit me hard because, oh, by the way, it was the same week my dad died. So I was really grieving at that point, and it was not just him. It was really more like grieving every male interaction I had that had not gone well. And I didn't know that I was still deep in this, and I took a date from a guy, nice guy, treated me well. We had a great time, a great evening. He leaned over to kiss me and I freaked out. Like I was like, "Whoa." And I mean, like, and he didn't deserve that, and I wouldn't wasn't expecting it. I would have never thought in a million years that was what I would do, but just wasn't done with the grieving process. And so sometimes you're never done with it. You know, if it's a long marriage, happy marriage, you may never be completely done. Nobody's looking for perfection, but at least give it some reasonable time and some reasonable tears and some support and get what you need to get over the hump, and don't consciously or subconsciously use the next person as kind of a diversion from your pain, because it's not fair to anybody. It really isn't. And I think you'll enjoy it so much more if that isn't in your way.
So my next question is this. We're now into dating strategies and tips. What are the biggest mistakes people over 50 make when dating?
I could tell you a couple.
Yeah.
What my female clients complain about is when a man brings up sex too soon, like on the dating app in the first meeting, like, when are you going to come over? We going to get that? We're going to get something. That is a major turnoff to most women. So that isn't cool. It needs to be a discussion at some time, but not before the first date. And I think what turns off a lot of men is when a woman assumes that he's the wallet, he's the billfold, he's there to provide the money, and without gratitude. I don't think that's cool. Those are two things I would say.
Thank you. So I would say one of the mistakes that I have heard and seen people have made is trying too hard to replace the previous person and expecting them to just fill that space exactly as the last person did. Like, this is a whole new relationship, a whole new person. And just like the previous one, you'll have to learn each other and fill different spaces. And you're not going to find a copy of what you had and just kind of plug that puzzle piece in. You make your own puzzle.
Oh, that's rich.
I agree. I 3 weeks ago, I removed my wedding ring. I just kept sitting there playing with it. And then it just came off. And then I went downstairs and I gave it to my daughter. I said, I want you to keep this forever.
Because people go in with looking for fun or for funds. They're not looking for a person. So they're looking for fun or funds, but not the person. And when you do that, it's no different, like I said, than the business acquisition. If I come to the table and I want to say, okay, how much money am I going to make on this deal? I don't even know about the deal. You as the individual, you're the deal. So I need to know about you before I can decide if I want to pay that price. So if I'm stepping out and I've been in a long-term situation and I'm going into something new, I have to be able to put all that aside and know what it is that I want. Like Miss Camille said, she's like, I'm learning myself. I'm the puzzle. You gotta let's say deconstruct who you are so that you can be okay with who you are. And then when you show up, you just be yourself. And if they're not for you, they're not for you. Let them go.
I love it. I love it.
I'd like to
Okay.
add a mistake that has come across my plate a few times, and that is older women assuming that they know how to date. I had one lady to just simply flat out tell me, I don't date. But mind you, she was wanting to get married. And I was like, huh?
Mm.
How you get to know this guy and what you've been doing with him is dating. But we assume that we know how to date. And I know I did that because I had been single for over 30 years when I decided I wanted to remarry. And I just assumed I knew how to do some stuff, especially the online stuff. It's easy. All I got to do is throw some stuff on there and then talk to some people. Yeah. 3 months later, and how many scammers later? Yeah. We now have a whole course on how you identify because I assumed I knew what I was doing. And I've come across that with several ladies.
Wow. Okay, what are some red flags to watch out for when dating at this stage of life? Now, making mistakes is one thing, but red flags re-entering this dating field.
I'm going to answer
Being
from,
too obsessed with red flags. Pardon me, nation.
yeah, for no, absolutely. Go
There are
ahead. Right.
flags, and when they wave in front of you, you do need to watch them. But I was in a very large Facebook group with 70,000 single people, no, 90,000 single people over 50. And the obsession about the red flags, I mean, nobody was ever going to meet their criteria, which again is just a sign of fear of dating. It's not really, it's such overprotection that it's ridiculous. So I would say that there are definitely ones out there, and I'll let everybody else talk about that. But noticing is a good thing, obsessing is just not.
I'm going to say the number one red flag for any level of dating, no matter how old you are, is when there's no full disclosure on both sides.
Oh,
Okay, timing for full disclosure is important. You don't do it on date one. Like I said, everything's after 20 because that gives you a comfortability level. You begin to disclose, but if you notice that that person is not disclosing things, that's a red flag you should be cautious about. Gwen put a thing in there that says asking about your assets. If they talk about money too soon, that's a red flag. If they talk about what they can get from you, and instead of what they can give to you, that's a red flag. And my approach is, I'm not in the dating world. I'm married, but I look at it as a business acquisition. If I was to go and up and basically speak on a deal and to be in the room to close a deal, it's the same process between a man and a woman coming together. It's a business acquisition process. It's not transactional, but the whole process is though. You have to know, what am I bringing to the table? What am I losing? What am I willing to leave on the table? What am I willing to take? What am I willing not to take? And if you think about it from that perspective, now you can begin to create your roadmap to your full identity for, this is the person I'm going to be, and this is the person I'm looking for to spend time with, or to court, or to marry. Because inside of a business deal, I may be a strategic partner, but I'm never a full partner. It all depends on where I want to fit and how we fit together. So that's the same thing here.
anybody else?
Well, for me, when people are asking, sometimes, it's the young guys that, feel empowered to just step up and talk and just utter just total gibberish. One gentleman said to me, "What's your body count?" And I was being rebellious, and I was being a butt in my head. And I said, because I have a sarcastic outlook and a sense of humor. And I was like, I said, "Oh, my BMI?" He said, "No, your body count." And I was like, "Yeah, I know what you mean." I said, "But let me just make sure that you and I are on the same page. In the scheme of things, it means nothing what my body count is, you know? So I don't care about what your body count is. That's not what I'm looking for. So thank you, but no thank you."
Absolutely.
I just mumbled out the way, and I was like, "Oh, you need somebody else. I'm not gonna and I'm trying to stop myself from saying I don't want to play those games, but I'm just being true to myself. I don't have a desire to sit there and tap dance and perform and give you my best performance, and then maybe you'll look at me, keep it
Yeah.
moving. Next. Next. Okay. So, okay.
So we're moving on to communication and connection. How can I communicate my standards without coming across as too demanding?
Okay. I'm the only guy on this here panel, and I'm going to answer this way. I would say, if your standards are standards, how can you be too demanding? They're your standards. That's like if I go to the car lot, all right, and I'm looking to buy a car, and I want a car that has this type of motor, has this type of interior, has this type, and the guy's trying to sell me something that's not that, then I'm not going to buy because my standard is this. And if you're not purchasing my standard, then you're not the person for me. So I have a problem. People say, how am I'm going to be too demanding when I set my standard? I don't agree. It's like when I'm negotiating a business deal, I would tell people, what do you want out this deal? If you don't know what you want out this deal, you're not going to get it. Know what you want out the deal. So bring your standards to the table. Be authentic about it.
Yeah, but you need to just communicate it.
Exactly.
The question is a bit misleading because it implies that in expressing yourself, in communicating what you want, that is a negative thing, but it's not. You should come to the table ready to express honestly what it is you truly want. And if you can't have that conversation, then that goes back to that you're not ready to date yet.
Absolutely.
I have the conversation with clients that for every extra layer of a standard or, a desire, whatever, of another person, for every one of those, you're excluding someone. And that's fine. There are a lot of people on the planet who should be excluded. But you just got to keep that in mind that if, I've had women say, well, I'm not going to do it unless he's supporting me. That's an okay desire. I have no problem with that. But that excludes the ones that can't or won't. Is that okay? If it is, then fine, that you're okay. Or, whatever they are, you're excluding some of the population. Some of the population should be excluded, but you just have to kind of weigh it all out. What's important.
So, one of the things that I'm not hearing is how to best posture yourself. Because remember, if we're talking about someone who was recently divorced or widowed, how can I say it? They're going to be a nervous wreck on this first date. At least I would imagine I would be. And so, anybody seen the Later Daters?
Yes.
Okay. The woman who was in her 70s, I can't remember her
I think her
name.
name is Pam. She lives
Yeah.
out on the farm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so her biggest challenge on the very first date was she overreacted. She overcompensated. You name it, she did it. How do you prepare yourself to get over those jitters?
I
Um,
have the somatic exercises I take them through. There's body exercises you can do, there's dancing it out. If you were a Ted Lasso fan and you saw how Rebecca would bend all the way down and take up all the space, women are not we're not socialized to take up space. So, now that we're older and we know we can take up the space. So I have them do some somatic exercises, do a Wonder Woman pose, march around the room. That helps a little bit, but if they're nervous, it's fine. Who cares?
For me, sometimes I over conversate, because I don't like or enjoy too much dead space. I can deal with it when I'm by myself and I'm at the house or whatever. But when I am in the presence or in the company of someone, I love the volley of back and forth. I love going back and forth and having this conversation. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's like a pastime for me. And but sometimes I'm overthinking in my head and I'm picking myself apart because you never know what people find attractive or appealing or fascinating in you unless they point blank tell you. But if you don't know a person, you're more so reserved. You're just taking it all in. And sometimes I do, Mr. Nation, sometimes I do think about the mergers and the acquisition, but sometimes I have found recently, sometimes the price is too high. My peace is priceless.
That's right.
And sometimes the price is too high to play those sophomoric or childhood games. It's like, dude, you like a gentleman. Dude, you're 50 years old and you still playing this
Absolutely.
game? What? Are you kidding? And so, I find myself reacting so swiftly because I know what I do not wish to put up with in the moment that the red flag introduces or reintroduces itself, because it might have shown up the first time. It's just I really didn't see it. If it shows up again, I'm like, to thy own self be true. I have no desire to lie to you and lead you on. And if by chance all you're looking for is sex, you travel all over the world. You can get that anywhere. I am more than that. But if that's all you want, you're going to have to get that with someone else. I'm not opposed to sex. I love sex. Come on now. Sex. But why lie? If that's all you desire from me, I'm not offended if you pass me by. So.
I love it. I would say getting over the nervousness and all that stuff the first time out. It's like when you give your first speech. When I teach people how to speak like a pro, I always tell them this: when you go in, they don't know what you're going to say. They don't know anything about you. Go in to have fun. This is not the deal closer. This is not the acquisition. This is not the merger. The first 20 is all about having fun. Be authentic with your fun. Be honest with your fun, but have fun. Don't care what they say, because if they don't align, they don't align. Say, nice seeing you. Bye bye. That's the way. And I tell people this too, from a professional speaking piece. I'm apply it to dating because it does apply. When you get on that first stage, you're going to be a nervous wreck. You will. The Wonder Woman pose, the Superman pose, the superhero pose, it calms that a little bit. But know that you're going to be nervous. Expect it. Use it. And then deliver your authentic self. And I guarantee you're going to have the best time of your life when you do it that way. So when you go on those dates, same thing. Be authentic. Expect that you're going to be nervous. Expect you're going to find somebody like, I like everything about you except for this, and that's a deal breaker. It's okay. Tell them bye. It's okay.
Later dater.
I want to add to that, Sharon, that something that has helped me and other people I know is before you get in that nervous situation, just find a moment of peace, whether through prayer or meditation, just calm your inner self. And then when you are there in that situation, like pray or meditate on just being polite, friendly, and charismatic and as open as you can be in this situation. And then when you're there, just communicate that you're nervous. It's fine. It's expected. You're probably both nervous, and then you'll have a little giggle about it, and it'll help get you both past that nervousness.
I love it. I love it. Okay. How can I make a great first impression on a date?
Don't try too hard to make a good first impression.
Yep. The way to
Look
make the
good
best.
and smile. Say thank you. Look good, smile, say thank you. That's about all you need to do.
The smiling is key. It's because I'm not dating, but I do understand when I'm networking to close deals, it's a date because I got to make this first impression. So smile, But don't be concerned about making a first impression. Be more concerned about being yourself. Because if they like you for who you are, it don't really matter.
Mhm, mhm. April, I have a question specifically for you.
Oh
I
my,
think
I'm in trouble.
I think people uh, see interracial dating as the new frontier. I'm talking about specifically people 50 and above, because in some instances that was the forbidden fruit.
Mm.
Okay. So I want you to talk a little bit about how a woman can be comfortable in that situation.
I prep them on several things. One of the things to help them with the nerves and just to be comfortable is I actually have them to write out some things that they think could be possible questions. And then I throw in some more questions that I know they didn't think about. And tell them to review them, not to memorize their answers, but be prepared with answers. Another thing I share with ladies too is that most men who are over 50 like to peacock, they call it, and they want to tell you what they have, how much of it they have, and how you would be able to have access to it.
Showboating.
And they tend to do this quote unquote peacocking and telling you all of their stuff in the beginning of the conversation. So think about this. The guy asks you out, so he's already seen something about you that he likes, right? Allow him to do his little talking, and you just sit there and listen and pick yourself out about 2 or 3 points that maybe you want to bring up later, and just be calm. Just
Mhm.
laugh when he says something funny and go on. But yeah, and in interracial dating, a lot of times you will find that the gentlemen actually have observed you for a while. And when I say for a while, it could have been a week, but it also could have been 3 years. And the interracial person, the person from the other culture, could also be somebody that you see frequently that you didn't realize they were interested in you. And so one of the things that I have to share with the ladies is that you live in a glass house. So you need to be open and aware of who's around you and who's checking you out, because it can be very I don't want to say subtle, because sometimes it's even below that because you don't recognize it. Did
So
that answer your question?
absolutely.
Mm.
We just need to be discerning and cognizant of who's around us and who's giving us that eye. Well, some people who haven't been in the dating realm for a while, they don't even know how to recognize the eye anymore. Ah, Gail, you know what? I really love that you're here tonight, because she's asking all these questions that need to be answered. And I just love it. And one thing, I've known Gail for maybe 4, 5 years. I can tell you, if you ever pick up one of her books, you will go, it's like you go into another land. This woman has an imagination like none other. And I'm sharing that with you because these guys, they're messing around with the superficial stuff. This girl is a catch, because if her, excuse me, if her real life is like anything in her book, these fellas, they will never be bored, and they will go to heaven with a smile on their face.
Where's my Amazon account? I think I need to order something.
Well, let me just tell you this, because I was walking I have a grand dog. My kids don't have kids. And my son, who's engaged to be married, has a husky. And I was walking the dog. He's a Siberian husky. He's 8 years old. He's gorgeous. We walk almost every day. And I never knew that my neighbor, since I just moved, has been checking me out. Had not a clue. Not a clue. I'd be like, because I'm a jovial type of person. All right, good to see you. Good morning. Blah, blah, blah. I keep it going. And so he said to me yesterday, he said, you walk that dog all the time. And I said, yeah. And I was saying to myself in my head, don't say anything inappropriate because we're going to have a misunderstanding. And he was like, yeah, I used to walk dogs. I said, yeah, I'm sure you did. And then I had my sunglasses on. So I stopped. I just stopped and I pulled my glasses off because I was like, if he says anything inappropriate, God, we're going to have a problem. He said, let me know when you're going on a walk again. And I'd like to join you because he said, it's not safe walking in this neighborhood by yourself.
Mm-mm.
I said, I'm with my dog and I always see my house. And he said, if you ever need any company. And I'll talk to you later, Mark. And I just kept on walking. But when I got home and I told my daughter what he said to me, she said, am I going to have to buy you a zapper or something like that? He said, you're causing too many problems out in these streets. And I don't want to have to come over to your house behind somebody acting a fool with you. And I said, girl, this man ain't paying no attention to me. I said, I'm just a neighbor. He lives 3 houses down. I never knew. I've been here for a year. I never knew he gave me any thought, but I wasn't there, mentally. I wasn't there and I wasn't ready. So I'm always mindful because my mind and my mouth slips into the gutter some days. So I have to always, be on guard. I have to always patrol the perimeter to make sure no scallywags hop the fence. So
So y'all, okay, so you see that Miss Gail is hot sauce, okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the kind of hot sauce that you don't feel it at first, but about 3 seconds in, you're about to go like,
Get that
I need
kick.
milk. I need milk. Okay. So
Wow.
you, Gail, for letting me share part of your sensationalism with the people.
I appreciate it. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
my dating crew, I love you guys. I'm going to ask 2 more questions. What are the safest ways to meet new people online and in person? Safety.
Well, you really need to know about how scammers work if you're going to be online, because 9 out of 10 of the people that you talk to online are going to be scamming. So you kind of have to be able to know the difference. And I think that, people think they know and they don't. So that always concerns me. As for in person, you just, a woman in particular, and maybe a guy too, you just always have to be careful of where you are, who's around you. Don't let your drink leave your sight. That sounds paranoid, but somebody drugged my drink in 1982. And the only reason I got away without any trouble is my roommate was there. So you just you just got to be careful, and you never get in another car on your first 2, 3, 4 dates. You meet somebody. So I have a little mini course I teach people about. I think one's on your YouTube page, but just how to recognize them and what they're up to.
And make
Uh,
sure somebody knows where you are. If you're going on those
Mhm.
first initial dates, you make sure someone always knows the name of the person you're with, what their contact information is, and where you are going. And then you check in with that person. You check in with your family or your friend when you leave and when you return, so
Mhm.
that somebody knows that you are safe.
I'm gonna
And
take
it
it a
it, it
step
might sound
further,
paranoid, but you have to do that in this day and age.
and I would say this just because of the age and the stage it is. I believe in community. So when you go out on a date, you take a couple people with you that are staged at this place that they're there, nobody else does. And that way you're going to be safe because I've and some of the other work that I do in security, I've seen and heard of so many different cases of people, male and female, being kidnapped on a second and third date.
Wow.
So I always tell people, just from that perspective, when you go out, especially if it's somebody you do not know and you haven't encountered, have your community with you. Have them show up early before you get there, so they just blend in. And this is something I do on a security detail as well. If I'm going to be protecting a particular asset, I would tell my team, y'all show up 2 hours early, hour early, survey the place, and then 30 minutes before we arrive, make sure you're there early. So you just blend in. You want to have that type of level, because today, sad to say, the nicest looking people are not always the nicest people. So just be
Yeah.
careful.
And I want to reiterate that part about not leaving your drink unattended. And that includes if your date is getting a drink for you, you don't, they don't get to go disappear and bring it from the bar. You have to see it from the time it arrives, or don't drink it at all. And
That's how
you
it
just have to be
happened with
careful.
me. Yeah. Like, we were having a great time. We thought it was fun, and then out of nowhere I was like, just, like, I just didn't even know what was going on. Nicest guys.
I would
And
suggest
that,
also, if you take your community or your two max friends with you, that you have a signal.
Yep.
You need a signal, and it needs to be a signal that's not very strenuous or difficult, because like she was saying, all of a sudden she started feeling wheezy. Well, if you can think in your mind, I need to do this or do something simple, um, so that your friends know that you're in duress, that would be very helpful.
I
Yep.
passed
yeah.
out in the bathroom standing up. My roommate found me.
Oh, wow.
I was in good hands, but I was standing in a stall backwards, like passed out. So thankfully she was with me.
I remember back in the day, uh, and Diane can relate to this. You remember the personals? Anybody? Diane can relate. Okay. So I happen to be living in Detroit, and I put a personal ad. I did a personal, and I can remember me uh, writing down writing down the license plate number and calling someone and telling them, this is the person that I'm with. Well, the guy I happened to be going out with was a policeman. So, I didn't care. I was writing that number, that license plate number down and everything. So anyway, and I told a fib. I'm going to ask two more questions and then we're going to call it a night. How do I handle uncomfortable situations or people who won't take no for an answer?
I think a swift knee to places that hurt's a good idea. Seriously, I think women really do need to take some self-defense classes, and just to be practiced. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm super paranoid or anything like that. And I'm 5'10", I'm 6'1" in shoes, so they're not coming after me very often. But I would say that, especially if a woman is smaller, you got to do some self defense for many reasons these days. But do some self defense. Whether you carry or not, it's up to you. Texas girls, it's pretty common here, but that's up to you. But at least know where to put your knee if something starts going south.
I Go ahead, Ms. April.
I was just gonna say, if you're out on a date, especially like at a restaurant or a place like that, something you can do is excuse yourself and go to the restroom, and get the attention of waiters and waitresses or whoever, and tell them you need them to distract the person so you can get out the door, or you need somebody to walk you out the door, something. But in uncomfortable situations and people who don't take no for an answer, that means they have controlling issues. And so my go-to is leave.
Yes. I would say it depends on where the uncomfortable situation is taking place. Environment is very important. So if you're in a situation where you're out in a park and it's an uncomfortable situation, they're not taking no for an answer. The, the of course the two easiest places to hurt a person quickly is the eyes, the ears, and of course the male is groin. But it's easier for you to take your keys. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, grab your keys, put them like this, and you go right there. That's enough time for you to run. You don't really care if you hurt them or not because you're very uncomfortable. But before you get to that level of execution, the first thing you want to do is you want to have strong eye contact and you want to let them know, I am not comfortable with this. Stop. And if they don't stop, now you know you need to escalate your defense. Because usually if you're looking at a male in the eye and you tell them I'm not comfortable with this and he's a real man, he's going to back off because he's just thinking it's a part of the flirting game. But if your head's down and he doesn't see that, he's going to pretend, he's going to continue. Even though he's a good guy, he just may continue because it thinks it's a part of the chase. So you get him, look at him in his eye and say, listen, I am not comfortable with that behavior. Stop it. And if he's a good guy, he's going to stop. If he doesn't stop, then you know you have to defend yourself by any means necessary.
Yeah.
So
So-
Something else my mother used to teach me was to just, if you can't get away, if you can't, if you've tried to communicate clearly and that didn't work, and then you tried to physically resist and that's not working, to scream fire.
Yep.
Because that will get people's attention more than saying someone's assaulting you, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And also
So-
your feelings have a tendency of showing up and making you aware that something's not
Right.
right. Something is sort of off. And sometimes you'll take a glimpse of it and you'll be like, oh, well, he's nervous and I'm nervous. And then you dismiss and discount it. But in all actuality, your body is like, run. You need to get your stuff and go.
Listen to your body.
You need to listen to those signals that show up, because also we have a tendency of always teaching our young girls how to be nice and sweet. And sometimes that's all a guy will need to think, oh, she's so sweet and accommodating. No. And you have to be able to discern which aspect of you is going to show up, which
That's right.
voice is going to represent you instead of being all sweet and delicate and dainty. My response is I start cursing instantly. I hate to lie, but sometimes you just have to talk to them in the language in which they understand, because
Yep.
they have it. Sometimes some guys will dismiss or discount you and overlook you, like, we're just having a nice time, but you're not feeling at ease, and
Right.
your comfort level has just accelerated. Your discomfort level it just keeps going up. And I have no desire to be around people that make me uncomfortable and question and challenge, us being in each other's proximity. So
I'm going to add one more thing to that. As you begin to get uncomfortable, do not alert them too quickly that you're uncomfortable. You start to back away slowly as possible, so then you can make a break. So you say, you know what? Let's take 2 steps back. As long as you get that gap, the more you get that gap between you and them, you have a better chance of escaping. So you just want to just kind of begin to slowly remove yourself from the situation. And then you say, you know what? I'm going to just call it a night. And then you leave. Because if you escalate it by confronting too fast, then they want to do the power struggle. And that's what you don't want to be in that situation. So it's better to gently, intentionally back out of the situation, know your exits. When you walk into any space, know where the exits are and know where the kitchen is. Because if